Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, felt like a lot happened today. Let's start with the courtroom. So Nella's testifying, and Martin Gray's asking a lot of questions. And Martin Gray, she starts to ask the question like, "Well, why don't you tell us what happened? After your baby was born and stuff like that." So Nell starts to do her whole song and dance about how Brad took her baby away, this, that, and the third. So she starts to play the victim role. And then Martin Gray's like, why should the court give you, yeah, that's what happened. Why should the court give you sole custody? And so, Nell starts to do her whole, song and dance about how she's going to provide a well, stable home for Wiley, and me and Julian are going to raise him together, this, that, and the third. Now, here's a couple of things that she did slip up on. So, Martin Gray was like, are you in love with your husband? And Martin Gray was like, are you in love with your husband? And Nell was like, listen, I can't speak for my husband or whatever, but we love our child together, and we're gonna, she gives the exact same answer that Michael gave when Martin Gray asked, are you in love with your husband? And so she was like, listen, we love our son, and we're gonna provide a well-stable home or whatever. Pretty much didn't answer the question as though she was not in love. So when Diane asked the same question before she left, because at first she brought up the fact that, remember that time that you assaulted Willow when you found out that your child was alive? And Martin Gray is just about to sit there and start saying, oh, well, he's about to start objecting. But before he does that, Diane's like, are you in love with Julian? And Nell's like, with all my heart. And this is when Diane starts to laugh. And then I realized that you didn't really tell the truth. You kind of told two different answers, and that's not good for your credibility. So Diane slipped her up on that. Here's the thing, Nell started off strong, I would sit there and say, in her testimony. But then when the cross-examination happened, that's when I felt that Nell slipped up. So, one second. Martin Gray decides to call up Julian. And Julian's like, I thought that I wasn't going to be called up. And Nell's like, well, you are, so buck up and just remember what's at stake, buddy. So Julian goes up there, and Martin Gray asks very simple questions. Are you reformed? He talks about, how long you've been out of jail. Are you reformed? And he's like, he's been out of jail for 3 years and he hasn't gotten as much as a speeding ticket. And then, Martin asks, do you love Wiley? And he talks about his connection with Wiley. Very simple, basic questions to try to put him in the best possible light. And I gotta sit there and say, he did a good job. Because working with Julian as far as trying to make him a character witness of any kind is, yeah. So Diane goes up and she couldn't wait, man. She was smiling from ear to ear. She's like, hey, remember that time that you held, Alexis at knife point? You put a knife through her throat? Just bringing up all sorts of bad stuff. He's like, yeah. And then, Diane asks, how many, you've been to jail for this, you've been to jail for that, you've been to jail for this, you've been to jail for that. And Julian's like, yes, I've been to jail for this, I've been convicted, yes. Now, here's the part where I felt like she slipped up. So, Diane asks, you remember that time that you, agreed to help your sister blow up General Hospital? And Julian was like, well, the thing was, I was blackmailed, I was, he talks to it like it wasn't his fault, and this was something that, it was against his will because of, the fact that, well, Olivia was threatening, I guess, another character named Olivia, but she was threatening Leo at the time, so, he kind of had to go along with it. He was under duress. And I felt like that's where she kind of messed up, because she brought up all sorts of negative things about Julian, but the one thing she brought up was something that was beyond his control. Even the holding her at knife point, I felt like he could have kind of like poked holes at that a little bit. Because again, under duress by Olivia, who was going to already threaten Leo once. So anyway, that happened. And Julian gets off the stand. And the whole time that Julian is on the stand, Sam walked into the room, and Sam just has the very bitchy look on her face or whatever, just, grilling Julian hard or whatever. So after, halfway through his testimony, Sam walks out the courtroom. And the minute that Julian is done with his testimony, he walks out after her. Now, I gotta be honest with you. I would have personally gave up on... I would have honestly gave up on Sam a long time ago as far as trying to have any sort of relationship with her, because she's written him off a long time ago. And I can't sit there... I mostly can't sit there and say I blame her, but the whole, putting Alexis on the knife, under whatever, and the fact that she had to give, she had to deliver her baby in the snow. It kind of wasn't Julian's fault because, again, Olivia threatened her, his other son, and no one takes that into consideration. But, anyway, so Julian walks out and tries to follow Sam and walks out the courtroom. Sam slaps Julian in the face. Now, I'm going to just take a moment and just kind of question some people. And I want to urge people to not do this in real life. If you slap somebody in real life for whatever reason that they did something to you or they said something to you, it still counts as assault. I don't understand. Maybe it's a soap opera thing. I know it's a soap opera thing that they do. But maybe I just think with logic, and I'm just like, yo, this whole slapping people shit is assault. Like, where do you get off just putting your hands on somebody as though it's okay? Anyway, she slaps Julian and, tells him off, oh, I'm writing you off. Me and Lucas don't want to have anything to do with you, and you're siding with Nell, and if Nell gets custody, then I'm gonna not talk to you. But then again, wait a minute, I'm not talking to you already, so you're dead to me, blah, 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 blah. And that pretty much ends the scene. I gotta be honest, I'm not exactly Sam's biggest fan right now. So, anyway, the next person to go up is Nina. Now, Nina was having a conversation with Jax earlier, and she was... Full disclosure, I'm not exactly a fan of the actress that plays Nina, and I'm not a fan of Nina's character so far, but with that being said, I feel bad for her because, Nina's like, listen, I don't know what to do. I don't, she was like, listen, if I don't look out for her, like, if I don't sit there and have Nell's back, then she can go to prison, And Jax is like, yeah, and not be because of her choice. But pretty much, Nina's like, listen, she doesn't have anyone in her corner, and this is the reason why she does the things that she does. If I don't stand up for her, no one else will. So she's kind of torn or whatever, and then she gets an alert on the phone about, the time that she has to take to go to the courthouse. So she leaves, she goes to the courthouse, and after Julian's done, the judge is like, call your next witness. They wait for 5 seconds before Diane's like, oh, where's your mystery person at? And then Nina walks into the courtroom. Nina swears to the Bible, I'll tell the truth and all that other stuff. And she seems like she's determined. Well, she seems like she's perplexed. Because she looks at Carly and she looks at Michael and Willow. And then she looks at Carly. And then she looks at Nell. And so the whole time she's like, man, I don't know what to do. And it's just, you just don't know which way it's gonna go. And that pretty much ends the scene for for the rest of the show actually. That was the last part. And by the way, there was no preview, so I think we all know what that means. Let's talk about the beginning. Full disclosure, thank you everyone who's actually been watching these reviews. I felt like yesterday and the day before I was a little kind of scatterbrained, but this whole trying to talk about this court case is really difficult because they say a lot and it's just kind of hard to remember. Hell, actually, tell you the truth, I had to pause it before and because I still have the episode on my DVR and actually find a part where Diane did what she did to trick up Nell. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So thank you for everyone who's been sticking with me, who's been watching these reviews. I really appreciate it. And I know it's been kind of off a little bit, so I apologize for that, and I am trying to always make these videos a lot better. So thank you for sticking around. So let's talk with the first scene, Olivia. Olivia's on the phone and she is talking to someone. Brooklyn thinks that she's talking, is thinking that she's having an affair. They go back and forth a little bit, and then Olivia's like, I'm talking to a psychic. Now, Brooklyn starts to tease her a little bit, and then Olivia's like, listen, I'm just trying to find out answers about Dante. And then Brooklyn felt like shit, and was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And Nell's like, Ned. Ned is like, listen, I apologize, because earlier he was having a conversation, trying to find out who is planning up for this hostile takeover, trying to buy up shares and stuff. And he's like, listen, I've been so busy focused on the LQ, I didn't realize and didn't notice that you were in pain. You have my undivided attention now. With that being said, Brooklyn goes to leave, and Ned is like, listen, what's going on? I don't want the psychic to be taking advantage of you, telling you stuff that you want to hear. And Olivia's like, listen, this is the only person that's actually giving me some sort of hope. She feels bad. She's like, listen, everyone is going on with their lives, and she talks about the whole Dustin and father-son thing, and she's pretty much like, everyone is moving on with their lives. How's Dante going to actually have any sort of motivation to feel better if he doesn't really have anything to come back to? If everyone is moving on, what's going to give him that fight? So before they can actually really conclude what they're talking about, Robert comes over. Now, Robert was sitting there talking to Laura earlier about how he doesn't feel that Holly's dead. Laura's like, listen, I'm the last person to sit there and question you about if somebody's dead or alive because, well, Nicholas. But what proof do you have? And Robert's like, none. But you know what? Luke will sit there and be able to help me out. And that's why he called her over to the Metro Court. He's asking for Luke's number. Laura doesn't have it, but Laura's like, Tracy will. So that's when Robert goes to the Quartermains to, get Tracy to contact Luke. And so Ned goes upstairs to get the information, and Robert talks to Olivia. Olivia's like, listen, everyone's sitting there teasing me about this whole psychic thing, but I just need answers. I need anything that could give me some sort of hope. Robert's like, listen, maybe out here, America or whatever, most people aren't really too crazy about psychics, but I've traveled the world, and there are the people that really do take stock in what psychics have to say. So don't let them sway you, And so that was something nice for Olivia here, and so they're sitting there talking, and Robert's sitting there telling Olivia about Holly and how he's going to be sitting there trying, he doesn't want to give up hope, and Olivia's like, listen, we're both, I don't want to give up hope either, and so they're both just sitting there comforting each other, and Robert puts his hand on Olivia's hand or whatever, and just to comfort her or whatever, and Ned walks down the stairs and just kind of looks and eyeballs them for like a good solid 5 seconds, like, just jealous and shit, which is, honestly, tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie, it's just kind of stupid. But Ned's like, oh, here you go, here's the phone number, and bye. So, Robert leaves or whatever, and Ned's like, listen, I'm sorry for making you feel bad about talking to a psychic, whatever. I just just looking out for you, and I think that's where their scene ends. And honestly, tell you the truth, it's whatever. Um. Let's talk about the photo shoot. So you got Maxie, Valentine, and Sasha in the room, and everyone's there, happy and excited about the way the photos came out and stuff like that, and praising Sasha. And Sasha's like, "Hey, listen, I have a stake in this company too, and listen, I'm gonna sit there and do whatever it takes to make sure everything comes out smoothly." And by everything, I mean blow. And you know what blow means because I'm not going to actually say it. They get into a flashback about when she takes the stuff. And Maxie tries to stand up for a little bit, gets lightheaded. And Peter's like, yo, listen, let's go downstairs and get something to eat. You haven't eaten probably in hours and you need to get something to eat. So while they're going, you got the assistant just vanished, by the way, for whatever odd reason. So you got Valentine and Sasha talking. Now, they're bonding over the fact that, they did something wrong for the right reasons, And Valentine's just being very kind and genuine and honest and stuff like that. And just being nice to Sasha, Because at first, Sasha was like, listen, my business is my business. Don't ask me about my business, except when it comes towards deception. And then, Sasha gets some sort of flashbacks about how, Michael told her that he loves her and stuff like that. And, she kind of realized, listen, you're not really a bad person, Valentine. You just did the wrong things for the right reasons and you genuinely loved Nina. Which, by the way, I don't really find their comparisons remotely alike. Because Sasha is doing something right, not just for Michael, but for Michael's son. And Valentine was pretty much just doing something right for himself. Now he could sit there and say that, yeah, my daughter Charlotte loves her, but I mean, let's be honest. Nina is not going to disappear from Charlotte's life just because you're not together. So in the end, you did it for yourself. Well, whatever. So they talk for a little bit. And then Valentine leaves, and you got Sasha there, and the assistant is like, here you go, here's your next vial of blow. And Sasha's like, nah, I'm good. It was just that one time. I'm good. And the assistant's like, well, you never know. You may need it again. And this is a just in case. So the fact that she took it was like, what the hell? But that's how often people try to do it to you. They give you a little bit of a taste, and then, well, you know the rest. Let me pause it for a minute. I want to make sure I got everything down packed. Final scene. You got Maxie and Peter at the Metroport. And Peter's like, Maxie, you barely ate any of your salad, which was a big salad, by the way, but she didn't eat any of it. She didn't eat any of it. And, Maxie's like, well, I'm just not really that hungry. And she makes some sort of BS excuse. And Peter's like, maybe you should see a doctor. And then, Maxie shrugs it off. No, I'm fine, blah, 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 blah. Peter does something. I guess he gets up to use the restroom or get something to drink or whatever. And Maxie starts to check her phone, checking dates or whatever. And as you know at this point, Maxie's probably pregnant because she missed her, what my friend used to call a loan shark. So obviously she's pregnant at this point. And, Peter comes back to the table and Max is like, you know what, maybe you're right. Maybe I do need to see a doctor. And, yeah, that pretty much ends that. There was no previews towards even Monday's episode, so at this point, You know what that means. I don't know if they're actually going to do a Flashback Friday, but like I said before in my post earlier, I will be checking out Days and Bold and the Beautiful and see which one I actually like better. I'll probably watch them both a little bit, or at least try. And, I'll be talking about one or the other. So if you're into Bold and the Beautiful or Days, I'll be doing reviews. I'll try, well, let's put it this way. I'll start watching it and I'll do reviews on it and see if I actually like the show. And if not, then maybe I'll try Young and the Restless and see if I like that show. So, yeah, that's gonna actually do it for this recap. Thank you for everyone who's been watching these reviews. And like I said before, I know my reviews have been a little off, like I've been a little scatterbrained with some of it, but it's a lot to sit there and try to get everything that they're saying with the court hearing, because it's not like you have a scene where you have like 2 people or 3 people talking. You can kind of get the emotions and talk about it. It's like, I don't know, it's a lot of cross-examinations and stuff like that, so it's a little weird. Honestly, tell you the truth, I can't wait till this part of the soap opera is over. And by the way, like I said before, I don't know if I said this or not, but there's a rumor that Dominic or Dante is supposed to be coming back to General Hospital soon. I don't know if that's true, but I saw it in Soap Opera Digest or one of them. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. For this episode. Thank you for watching. Be safe. And I will catch you in the next review.